Okay, so here's a question for you. What if the difference between a life of, deep satisfaction and real accomplishment versus a life that's maybe tinged with some regret? What if that wasn't about some kind of elusive cocktail of luck or genius?
Right.
What if it wasn't about who you are, but really just about what you relentlessly do?
That is the ultimate premise of our deep dive today. We're exploring this idea that success in its, most meaningful sense is basically an achievable skill set.
A checklist almost.
Exactly, a checklist of habits and actions and mindsets that really anyone can master.
That's it. We are diving deep into the deliberate, repeatable actions that drive success and meaningful lives, and we're using the book 100 Things Successful People Do by Nigel Cumberland as our guide.
And Cumberland he's not just some academic watching from the sidelines. He is an architect of success himself. He's an executive coach, co-founder of the Silk Road Partnership, which all about leadership training.
And he's got this incredible global and entrepreneurial background that he brings to the topic.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking about someone who was educated at Cambridge University, who rose incredibly fast in the corporate world. I mean, he was a regional finance director for a FTSE 100 company at, age 26?
26, that's an astonishingly rapid ascent.
But he didn't stop there.
Mm.
And that's the key. His expertise, it's rooted in these high-stakes professional achievements, this global complexity. He went on to become a super successful entrepreneur.
Right, with the recruitment firm.
The award-winning recruitment firm in Hong Kong and China, which he then sold to Hayes Pulalik. So, when he outlines 100 things, he's drawing from real-world experience.
From running high-growth businesses and coaching leaders all over the globe. Places like Santiago, Budapest, Shanghai, Dubai. He's seen it all.
He's the perfect guide to cut through all the noise and just tell us what actually matters.
Absolutely. Now, before we get into those essential building blocks, I just want to invite you, our listener, to make sure you're subscribed to the Audible Books channel. That way you won't miss any of our future deep dives and captivating summaries of the world's best books.
So our mission today, really, as Cumberland defines it, is to unpack this idea that success, it's the accomplishment of any aim, any dream or aspiration.
Which makes it profoundly personal, right? It's unique to you. It's not some fixed professional title that society hands out. It's an internal thing.
That's the crucial pivot. Success for one person might be becoming an award-winning chef. For another, it's, thriving in a new leadership role.
Or just paying off your mortgage. Or maybe even just achieving a sense of internal peace.
Exactly. So we're going to unpack the essential habits that drive all those different outcomes across work, relationships, health, wealth, and character.
Okay, let's start at the beginning then. The foundational mindset that really underpins all 100 of these points.
Right. So if success is this personal journey, it has to start with an inventory. What does success mean to you, not what your boss or your parents or society tells you it should mean?
That's the key distinction, isn't it?
It is. Cumberland argues that if you fail to define your own success, you just end up chasing someone else's definition. And even if you achieve it, it's meaningless.
It's a hollow victory.
Totally. In his coaching work, he sees this huge range of aims. Success can be losing weight, retiring in good health, recovering from a serious illness, or maybe the most important ones are following your heart without regrets and having wonderful people in your life.
The example he gives really hammers this home. One person's dream of being an award-winning chef is another person's idea of hell if they just hate cooking.
Exactly. If the goal isn't yours, if it's not intrinsically motivating, the habits just won't stick.
And this idea is really cemented by a quote he uses in the dedication from Friedrich Nietzsche.
Oh, that's a powerful one. Nobody can build the bridge for you to walk across the river of life, no one but you yourself alone. There is in the world only one way on which nobody can go, except you. Where does it lead? Do not ask, go along with it.
Wow, that's a pretty profound statement of self-responsibility to start with.
It is. It's a recognition that your path is unique, and it's your job, and your job alone, to figure it out. External validation, all those metrics, they're just irrelevant to your internal fulfillment.
And Cumberland himself is a perfect example of this. I mean, here's a guy who was a regional finance director at 26. He sold a multi-million-dollar company, became an established author. All these huge external achievements.
Right.
But he says his most important success was learning to be at peace with how he is and what he has.
The irony is just, it's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
A book that seems to be about professional achievement ultimately defines success by internal peace and acceptance.
It gives the whole thing so much more credibility. These 100 habits, they aren't just career hacks. They're like a life operating system.
Designed to minimize regret and maximize that internal fulfillment.
And to start building that system, you need two things. You need fuel, and you need a framework.
The fuel for any successful journey is your dream. Richard Branson highlights this. He says, "You will live a much better life if you pursue your passions." People who work on the things that they love usually enjoy life more.
Because they're chasing their dreams. That's the engine, right? It motivates you, it drives you, it pushes you way out of your comfort zone.
And makes all the sacrifices feel worthwhile. But, sometimes we chase these inherited dreams, not our own. Cumberland gives this powerful example of a failure in his own life.
I thought this was fascinating.
He does. He loved geography in school, absolutely loved it. But he felt he had to follow everyone's advice and study economics.
Which led him into accountancy.
Predictable, well-paid, but ultimately unfulfilling. He achieved massive financial success really quickly, but he realized later that he'd missed his true calling. He was just pursuing external validation and what he thought was stability.
And that realization is huge. I mean, even if you are successful by every outside metric, you can still feel like a total failure if you weren't chasing your dream.
So, how do you untangle your own dreams from all the expectations that have been piled on you? The book has this great little 3-question strategy.
Okay, let's hear it.
First, ask yourself what you love to do, what you wanted to be as a child, before the world got its hands on you. Those early desires often hold the key.
I like that. What's the second?
Second, if money was no object, what kind of life and work would you truly choose? That removes the financial chains that often limit our vision.
And the third?
The third is a bit sneaky. What parts of your friends' or colleagues' lives do you look at with genuine envy?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. That envy, if you really analyze it, is often a signpost to a desire you've suppressed in yourself.
Okay, so once the dream is identified, the next step is actually creating your future, which means preparation, not fate. This is a direct shot at the idea of luck.
It is. The book argues that good fortune is almost always the result of years of hard work, planning, preparation.
Yeah.
Successful people take control. They reject this fatalistic thinking.
The idea that it's all predetermined.
Exactly. Or, the tendency to pass the buck and blame bad luck or other people.
I mean, let's be real. Sometimes circumstances do feel overwhelmingly unlucky. Failure happens. How do you maintain that belief in self-mastery when you're just getting knocked down again and again?
Well, you look at historical examples of persistence. Winston Churchill is a phenomenal case study.
Right.
Before he became the famous wartime prime minister, his career was just a string of spectacular failures. Political isolation, being dismissed as this reckless throwback.
He was in the political wilderness for years.
For years. In the 1930s, he failed in military endeavors, he failed in politics. But here's the thing. He never stopped writing, researching, and preparing. That continuous preparation, plus his refusal to blame others, it meant that when the specific crisis arrived, he was the only one truly prepared to lead.
So his good luck in 1940 was actually the result of a lifetime of work.
A lifetime of hard-earned experience and constant planning. It completely reframes resilience, doesn't it? It's not just about surviving. It's about continuously preparing, even when you're failing.
So what are the countermeasures for that kind of fatalistic thinking?
Well, reframing your limiting beliefs is essential. If you get fired, you don't view it as catastrophe. You reframe it. It's the freedom to seek a new, maybe better, more aligned opportunity.
And you have to curate your environment.
You have to. You seek out supportive people, and you pull away from the cynical, negative ones because they just perpetuate that cycle of blaming external forces. You have to believe really deeply that you are the master of your fate.
Okay, so we have the fuel our dreams. We have the persistence creating our future. Now we need the framework. Clearly written goals.
This is the bridge. This is where abstract dreaming becomes concrete reality. There's a great quote from Steve Maraboli. If you have a goal, write it down. If you do not write it down, you have a wish.
The act of writing it down forces you to be clear. It's like a contract with yourself.
It is. And the data actually backs this up. The book cites a study from Dominican University that showed a massive 42% increase in the success rate just from writing goals down.
42%. That's not a small advantage. That's a huge competitive edge just from using a pen and paper.
But it's not just any writing. The book is a big advocate for the SMART goal framework, which it attributes to Sir John Whitmore. It turns these vague hopes into measurable action plans.
Okay, let's break that acronym down because it's such a fundamental tool.
So the S is for specific. The goal has to be crystal clear. No ambiguity. M is for measurable. You need to know exactly when you've achieved it. A number, a metric.
Right. And A is for attainable. It should stretch you, but it has to be possible.
Exactly. R is for realistic and relevant to your bigger life purpose. And finally, T is for time frame bound. It needs a deadline and achieved by date.
So a wish like, I want a better career transforms into something like, I will qualify as a certified accountant within 18 months, passing all exams the first time.
Right, and secure a finance controller role in my company within 3 years. That level of detail creates this irresistible momentum.
And that momentum is crucial because once you've defined your external success, you have to master the internal self that's probably going to try to sabotage the whole thing.
Which takes us to our next big challenge, inner mastery.
Inner mastery. This is where the rubber really meets the road, isn't it? We can have the smartest goal in the world, but if our inner world is in chaos, the whole thing just collapses.
That's absolutely true.
Well,
Losing control of your emotions, anger, jealousy, just reacting too quickly, it can just torpedo your chances of success, especially at work. As the author says, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it.
it's the reaction that defines everything. We've all seen careers crash and burn because of one angry outburst or one badly worded email. So what's a practical way the book recommends to manage this?
The big one is a 24-hour rule. It's so simple. If you have to draft a difficult, emotionally charged email, you draft it, and then you wait a full 24 hours before you even think about hitting send.
That pause lets the emotional wave just wash over.
It subsides, yeah. It prevents a reaction that's dictated by temporary anger from becoming a permanent, documented mistake.
Okay, that sounds like solid advice, but let me challenge it a little. In today's world, everything is hyper-responsive. Speed is often seen as competence. Isn't there a risk that waiting 24 hours could actually be worse than giving a quick answer, even if it's a bit emotional?
That's a fair point, but Cumberland is really focusing on difficult communication here. We're talking conflict, major criticism, resignations. In those high-stakes moments, speed is the enemy of wisdom.
So it's not for every email.
Not at all. It's for preventing what psychologists call an amygdala hijack. When you're furious, your rational brain just isn't online. Waiting 24 hours gives your prefrontal cortex time to reboot. You save way more time by preventing a long-term relationship disaster than you lose by delaying one message.
Okay, that reframes it. It's a relationship-saving tool, and that ties right into empathy, which the book calls a highly successful trait.
Empathy is the ability to connect deeply. Highly empathic people are effective leaders. They're loved. And crucially, the book says true empathy isn't passive. It's about proactively seeking to understand other people.
So it's not just waiting for them to explain themselves?
No, it's a conscious effort. You give people your full attention, especially those closest to you, your family, your key colleagues. You can't take their emotional input for granted.
Okay, so moving from that proactive understanding to internal guidance, the book talks about intuition or trusting your gut as a secret weapon.
Right. And intuition is often misunderstood. It's not some mystical force. The author describes it very practically. It's that feeling of danger, a hunch about a person, or you're weighing several logical options and one just feels better even if you can't explain why.
It's your subconscious pattern recognition, basically.
Exactly, is all your stored experiences bubbling up.
But the book specifically mentions left brain, people engineers, accountants, scientists who are trained to rely only on facts. How do they access this?
They really struggle because they're comfortable asking, what do the facts say? But they're deeply uncomfortable asking, what do I feel? They often dismiss feeling as, frivolous.
So what's the recommendation?
It's not to abandon logic. It's to integrate both. And to make that quiet, intuitive voice audible, you need stillness. The technique suggested is finding silence through a consistent practice like meditation to calm the mind. When all that internal noise dies down, your intuition finally has space to be heard.
That requires some deep internal work. But success also requires the courage to be vulnerable, to accept imperfection and seek the truth.
And successful people are surprisingly comfortable with that. They're happy to say, I was wrong, or, you know what, I have absolutely no idea.
Which is so hard to do, especially in a leadership role where the pressure is to have all the answers.
It's immense. But striving for perfection just leads to disappointment, and it stops you from growing.
Yeah.
Admitting you don't know something is a sign of strength. It shows you're open to learning.
But we all have blind spots. How do you find the things you don't even know you're doing wrong?
You have to do some relentless self-reflection. Ask yourself, Do I always have to win arguments? Do I dismiss feedback from junior colleagues? Am I a win-at-all-costs kind of person? You have to
Yeah,
consciously start asking, am I missing anything here?
this is where I love the practical suggestion he has, the jester strategy.
It's brilliant. It's a way to institutionalize critical feedback. You enlist trusted friends or family to be your jesters
Like the court fool who could tell the king the truth.
without getting their head chopped off. Exactly. Their job is to tell you, gently but honestly, when you're being stubborn or arrogant or just making a fool of yourself.
So walk me through how that might work in real life.
Okay, so imagine you're leading a huge negotiation. You have this one demand and you refuse to budge. You're convinced it's the only way. Your spouse, your designated jester, sees you getting all worked up and says, hey, remember that deal last year where your stubbornness cost you the relationship? Are you sure you're not letting pride run the show here?
Oof, that's a tough pill to swallow.
It is. But that intervention forces a pause. It makes you realize that your emotional need to win is overriding the strategic need to close the deal. And the choice is simple. Do you want to hear that hard truth from someone who loves you, or get laughed at and lose the deal?
That courage to accept feedback leads right to the core of success, telling the truth.
The author is absolutely unequivocal on this. Success without integrity is like a house without foundations. It will crack. It will subside. Lying, cheating, faking a CV, taking credit for someone else's idea, it all creates this fake, meaningless success that gives you zero internal peace.
And the book uses the classic example of Lance Armstrong.
It's a perfect microcosm of integrity failure.
Right.
It wasn't just one big lie about doping. It was years of small, reinforcing lies, aggressive denials, and bullying to protect the first lie.
The whole thing was built on a foundation of sand.
And when it collapsed, it destroyed everything. His career, his reputation, his relationships. You have to be ready for that collapse if you cheat. And what's scary is how common small lies are. That MIT study that found people tell 2 to 3 lies in a 10-minute conversation.
That's incredible.
It shows how easily we compromise truth every day. To get genuine success, as Paulo Coelho says, the first rule is you can never lie to yourself.
And if that truth reveals you made a mistake, the next act of integrity is to apologize immediately.
Yes, apologizing when you're wrong is a sign of maturity and wisdom. It's not weakness. Pride and ego are what hold people back. But seeking forgiveness is incredibly liberating. It removes the guilt to repair the relationship. But the apology has to be authentic, humble, contrite.
So this masterful control of your emotions and a commitment to radical honesty
Right.
that gives us the tools for inner mastery. Now let's look at how those skills translate into strategic action when we're dealing with the external world.
Right. So part 3 introduces this idea that to be successful, you often need to zig when everyone else zags. Chapter 5, do the opposite.
I love this. It's so counterintuitive, but it makes perfect sense. If the majority of people aren't living truly successful lives, then to achieve success, you have to stand out.
You have to spot when the crowd is moving one way and deliberately move the other.
So when's the right time to apply this?
You apply it when your current actions are just yielding the same undesirable results over and over. If you're stuck in a rut, the way out is usually in the opposite direction. The book has some great little mini case studies on this.
Okay, let's start with career and promotion.
So if you've been trying way too hard for a promotion for 3 years and getting nowhere, the opposite action is to stop trying so hard. Have a frank, objective conversation with your boss about what's really required, or maybe pivot your energy and look somewhere else entirely.
What about money, financial habits?
If you want to save money but you never have any left at the end of the month, do the opposite. Instead of spending first and saving what's left, you automatically save first. The day you get paid, put it in a separate account, and then force yourself to live on what's left. Pay yourself first.
And socially.
If you want to meet new people, but you hate the forced, awkward structure of blind dates, do the opposite. Meet people through low-pressure, unplanned activities. Join a hiking club, a book group, a sports team. Just remove the expectation and the pressure.
This takes incredible resolve, though. The author talks about the personal cost of this when he left his lucrative finance career to become self-employed. People literally thought he was having a breakdown.
That's the emotional tax you pay for doing the opposite. You have to be ready for people to question your sanity, but you have to stand firm in your conviction that your current path is a dead end.
And that resolve naturally leads us to the next strategic skill.
Yeah.
The absolute necessity of saying no.
Saying no when you mean no is fundamental to protecting your path. Saying yes when you mean no is just toxic. It turns you into a doormat, and that's just devastating for your self-esteem.
It's a zero-sum game, really.
It is. You cannot please everyone all the time without causing one person to suffer, and that person is always you. The consequences of just going with the flow on major life decisions to appease others can be severe.
That seems very real, but I think a lot of listeners might struggle with the practicality of that. I mean, if you're a junior member of a team or you have big family obligations, pushing back can have real risks, right? Financial, social.
That's a great point, and that's where the habit starts small. You don't have to start by pushing back on some huge life decision. The actionable step is to commit to pushing back regularly in small ways. Just tilt the scales back in your favor.
So, like standing firm on where to eat dinner.
Or exactly. Or saying you can't take on one more tiny, non-essential task at work. This exercise builds the muscle you need to say no when the stakes are higher. It establishes your voice and your boundaries without risking your entire career.
Okay, so once those boundaries are established, the next strategic step is managing where you put your energy. Focus on things you can control.
Worrying about all the uncontrollable stuff, other people's choices, the stock market, global pandemics, it is just bad weather, is a massive waste of precious mental energy.
This is very similar to the wisdom in the Serenity Prayer.
Exactly. The core idea is to direct your limited energy only toward what's under your immediate influence. Your free will, your thoughts, your reactions, your mindset, everything else is just external noise. And successful strategists, they discard the noise.
It sounds simple, but avoiding that blame game is incredibly hard when things go wrong.
It is, because denial is comfortable. The book really pushes back on those common excuses like, it's not my fault I overreacted, he made me angry. Or, the team isn't trying, so why should I bother?
The ultimate realization is that you are solely responsible for your own actions, regardless of the trigger.
That psychological control is the final strategic foundation.
Now let's see how that self-control translates into strong interactions with the people we rely on to succeed.
Right. Strategic success needs strong relationships, and those start with rapport. People need to follow you, work with you, trust you. Rapport is just that process of understanding each other and getting comfortable.
So how do you build that authentically without it feeling like you're just flattering people?
The key is finding genuine common ground. Shared hobbies, opinions, professional challenges. The emphasis has to be on authenticity. Don't pretend to like something just to please someone. That deceit will just kill trust instantly.
And beyond that, you just have to be someone people want to be around.
Yeah. Avoid being selfish and just talking about yourself. Speak slowly, stay calm, be approachable.
And a huge part of making people feel valued is simply remembering them.
This habit is so simple that a lot of people just overlook it. Politicians like Bill Clinton are famous for this, remembering tiny personal details about people they meet. It makes the interaction feel personalized and memorable. Remembering others ensures they remember you.
For listeners who feel overwhelmed by all the people they meet, the book has some practical steps for this.
First, you have to consciously train yourself to listen more intensely. Ask clarifying questions. Encourage the other person to share. Second, you externalize your memory. Use a notebook or a contact directory on your phone to jot down personal details.
Kids' names, birthdays, their dog's name.
That important project they mentioned. And you review that information before your next meeting. The source even cites Dunbar's number 150 as the maximum number of genuine social relationships humans can really maintain.
Why is it 150, and how does that connect to professional success?
Well, Dunbar's number, from anthropologist Robin Dunbar, reflects the cognitive limit of people we can maintain stable social relationships with. Where we know who each person is and how they relate to everyone else.
So for work, this is crucial because you can't have deep personal rapport with 1,000 LinkedIn connections.
Exactly. You can't. Only about 150 of those can be truly personal, built on remembered details and genuine trust. For everyone else, using a contact directory to manage those details is a necessary strategy to make them feel like they're in your inner circle.
And that brings us to managing professional rapport in the modern age. Pausing before you press send.
Our world is just dominated by rapid-fire texts and emails, and we often write them while we're distracted, driving, in a meeting, rushing around. And this distraction is just a breeding ground for inappropriate, vague, or just plain wrong messages.
The book gives some examples of executive failures here.
Yeah. The coach who never read emails properly and missed crucial details, the manager who wrote these long, confusing messages, the leader whose cold one-line replies just screamed indifference.
The fix starts with intention.
Precisely. Before you even start typing, ask, What is the specific outcome I need? And does this even need to be digital? Or does this topic require a human touch, a phone call, a face-to-face meeting to get the nuance and emotion right?
And what's the single most important technique for those high-stakes digital messages?
For anything emotionally charged or complex, you write the message, and then you immediately save it as a draft. Walk away for a few hours. When you come back, reread it and actively put yourself in the recipient's shoes.
Ask, how would this make me feel?
Exactly. Only press send when you are completely comfortable with the wording and the tone. It prevents so much regret and maintains your professional integrity.
Maintaining that high level of integrity and focus requires stamina, which moves us to sustaining success through habits focused on health, work, and continuous learning.
Right. Because the best structure in the world is useless if you burn out. Part 4 is all about integration, starting with tuning work into play. And for most people, work is a miserable grind.
The stats are pretty depressing, aren't they?
They are. A 2014 survey cited in the book showed 52% of Americans were unhappy at work. And when you think about the time around 2,250 hours a year, not even counting overtime, that is a huge, debilitating chunk of your life to be miserable.
The goal, as Warren Buffett says, is to take a job that you love, you will jump out of bed in the morning, make it so enjoyable it doesn't even feel like work.
And if a dream job isn't available right now, you have to actively work to transform your current situation. You can delegate tasks you hate, consciously change your mindset, view the glass as half full, and proactively make the workplace fun. Tell stories, laugh, find positive colleagues.
And then there's the elephant in the room, the final drastic piece of advice.
The author suggests seriously considering resignation if you are fundamentally unable to make your work enjoyable. Life is just too short to stay in a job that makes you depressed for years on end.
That's powerful, but also incredibly daunting. For a listener with a mortgage and kids and huge financial commitments, seriously considering resignation can feel like an impossible luxury, not a practical habit.
And that's where the say no muscle we talked about becomes so vital. Before you get to resignation, you have to strategically use all the other habits. Set clear boundaries, delegate, focus on what you can control to minimize the stress. If, after all that, the environment is still toxic, then the sacrifice required to stay might be greater than the financial risk of leaving. The point is to make the choice intentionally, not just wait for burnout to force your hand.
That focus on intentionality starts the second the alarm goes off, starting each day well. As Aristotle said, well done is half done.
A good start just generates momentum for the whole day. A bad start, and you're already behind. The book offers a sequence of actionable morning habits.
Okay, what are the rituals?
First, get up 30 minutes earlier than you need to. Just ensure a calm start. Use that time to stretch or meditate. Second, eat breakfast, ideally with your family. Avoid negative news. Third, have a stress-free commute. Listen to music, read a book. Fourth, get to work a little early to plan your day before the chaos starts.
That structure helps with time, but the book emphasizes that breaks are just as important as the work itself.
Oh, failing to take breaks just kills your productivity and risks a total career breakdown. The author shares his own burnout experience in Hong Kong, working insane hours until the stress forced him to resign. He felt like he was running on a high-speed treadmill until he just fell off.
That's the classic Stephen Covey logging analogy, right?
Right.
Sharpening the saw.
Exactly. A workaholic is working with a blunt tool. He suggests using the Pomodoro technique, 5-minute breaks every 25 minutes. But beyond that, longer breaks are mandatory. Take all of your annual leave, and when you're on holiday, be truly present. Set rules, like only checking work email once over the weekend.
And underlying all of this is the real foundation of success. Stay healthy.
Health, the book says, is your main wealth. Working yourself into the ground for material success only increases your chances of paying for expensive health care later. It completely defeats the purpose.
And the idea that you can just catch up on your health when you retire is a total myth.
It is. An IEA study cited in the book found that being retired can actually decrease your health rapidly. You can't put off maintenance on your body. You need that health now to drive your success.
So what are the 4 specific areas of health that a successful person needs to look after?
It's a holistic approach. First, physical health, exercise, diet. A daily 20-minute brisk walk can add 7 years to your life. Second, mental health. Actively avoiding excessive worry and stress, using those techniques we talked about. Third, emotional health. Walking away from draining people and situations. And fourth, spiritual health. Finding meaning and purpose in what you do.
That integrated view of well-being demands a commitment to continuous growth, which is more critical than ever in a world that's changing so fast.
And the foundation of that growth is the mindset of being a student of life. The author's grandmother told him, "You never stop learning. It's about listening, exploring, and being open to letting go of what you thought was true yesterday."
The greatest lessons the book suggests are often disguised as failures.
Yes, the lowest, most painful moments of your life are often the richest sources of insight, but only if you view them through the lens of a student.
And there's a daily practice for this.
A simple one. Keep a journal and ask every day, what did I learn today? And how does this help me become more successful? This forces continuous self-assessment.
Being open to learning requires an open mind. Stubbornly sticking to old opinions is the greatest enemy of growth.
This stubbornness often shows up when we ask questions, but we already have the answer we want to hear. The action here is radical. Ask trusted contacts if they think you're stubborn, and then consciously practice asking, am I missing anything?
And there's a simple linguistic tweak he suggests for this.
Avoid the word but. When you say, that's a good idea, but, you've immediately negated the idea and stopped listening. When you hear yourself about to say but, force yourself to pause and genuinely explore the other person's idea instead.
That's fascinating. If constant learning is essential, Chapter 97 takes it a step further. Unlearn everything.
This is the knowledge battleground of the 21st century. Alan Toffler said the illiterate of this century won't be those who can't read and write, but those who can't learn, unlearn, and relearn. The author estimates that 40% of what you learn in college is outdated in a decade.
Wow. Why is unlearning so hard, and what do we need to strip away?
It's hard because we're wired to stick with what worked before. You have to unlearn rigid expectations and old assumptions. When you face a new challenge, don't fixate on what you expect to happen. Expect to be surprised. Expect to be challenged. Preconceived ideas are the enemy of innovation.
Learning, unlearning, maintaining your health, these are all continuous investments. And they all feed into the final measure of success, how you feel about your life when you look back.
Right, and this final part asks us to look at life through the lens of permanence. We start by making peace with the past and the people who shaped us.
Finding peace with the past and future.
You cannot change your past. You can only change how you think and feel about it. The past can be this heavy anchor, making you scared to commit, worried about repeating mistakes. It just stops growth cold.
And the book cautions us about memory, right? The bias toward recalling negatives.
Wow, that bias is so powerful. You might remember feeling neglected by your parents when actually they were just giving you space to grow up. The action here is to be willing to talk about it, divorce, failure, abuse, and get an objective understanding of what really happened. Talk to family, friends, maybe a therapist.
And that understanding lets you transition from being haunted by the past to actually letting it help you.
Absolutely. The past helps you by identifying your recurring patterns. Are you always running from commitment? Do you keep attracting controlling people? Understand where that pattern started allows you to change the behavior today and finally break free.
And the most important relationship to resolve, the book says, is the one with your parents.
You can't live a fully successful life if you're carrying resentment toward your parents. They're often your best mentors because they know you unconditionally. They can spot those recurring patterns that started when you were a kid.
The advice is pretty direct. Just clear the air.
Yeah. Forgive them for perceived wrongs, even if the harm was real. Listen to their perspective. Give them your time and attention. Resolving this relationship just releases a tremendous amount of emotional energy.
The final psychological checkpoint is acknowledging that life transitions will inevitably make you feel lost. You have to get lost and find yourself again.
Feeling lost, whether it's marriage, a job change, bereavement, it's not failure. It's a normal human response. The author calls it the mind's emergency stop mechanism when life feels overwhelming.
And our first instinct when we feel lost is to run faster, to fill the void with quick action, usually bad decisions.
So you have to do the opposite. You have to press the pause button. As Dr. Rolame said, it is an ironic habit of human beings to run faster when we have lost our way. While you're paused, you ask those searching questions. Why am I feeling this way? What has really changed? What are my options?
That thoughtful approach prevents those rash decisions. And those deep reflections lead us to the final, ultimate measure of success, the final reckoning.
Chapter 99 asks the most profound question. Leave a legacy. When people speak at your funeral, what do you want them to say? It's not going to be about your car or your house. It will be about your character, your kindness, your integrity, how you made people feel.
And the legacy isn't just for the end. You leave a mini legacy every time you leave a job or a neighborhood.
And to make sure that legacy is aligned with your values, the book suggests a truly courageous exercise, a 360-degree feedback session. You ask your friends, family, and colleagues directly, how would I be remembered if I were to suddenly disappear?
That takes some serious guts. But that feedback is invaluable.
It's the raw material you need to identify your character flaws and actively work to change them. It ensures the person you present to the world aligns with your private self.
And that work is essential to achieving the final goal, Chapter 100. Regret nothing. The book reviews the common regrets of the dying, from that famous survey by the Australian nurse Bronnie Ware.
These top 5 regrets are a powerful instruction manual. They show us exactly what we need to fix today to avoid pain later.
The first and most profound is not living a life true to oneself. This goes right back to part 1. Follow your own dreams, not someone else's.
The second is working too hard. This connects to taking breaks and prioritizing your health. So many dying patients wish they hadn't sacrificed family and health for a career.
The third, suppressing feelings to keep the peace. This is the direct result of saying yes when you mean no, being a doormat.
The fourth, not investing time in friendships. This connects to building rapport and remembering people. Relationships need conscious effort.
And finally, not letting themselves be happier. This is about carrying old baggage, refusing to forgive, not taking the risk to pursue joy.
The mission is clear. Having no regrets starts today. It means connecting with people you need to thank or apologize to. It means stopping yourself from holding back.
Finally, Cumberland adds 2 extra capacities for enduring success, things he realized while writing the book itself.
The first is always being ready to make sacrifices. Understanding opportunity cost. Success in one area means you miss out somewhere else. Cumberland realized he'd sacrificed time with family while he was writing the book. You have to consciously decide what you're willing to give up.
And the second extra capacity is the resilience born from tragedy, accepting that no matter what happens, life goes on.
Personal disasters, death, bankruptcy, illness, they will interrupt your plans. But time allows you to return to your dreams, often with deeper wisdom and changed priorities. Maybe internal peace becomes more important than that sports car you thought you wanted.
But life goes on, and your dreams should too, just adjusted by the hard-won wisdom of experience.
So if we synthesize the deepest takeaways from this dive, we realize success isn't an accident. It's intensely personal, it's fueled by clear written dreams, and it requires total emotional control, the wisdom to focus only on controlling your response to the uncontrollable. And most of all, it demands this relentless commitment to self-improvement.
What stands out to me is just the sheer volume of intentional actions. Success isn't one big leap. It's a continuous commitment to daily, mindful, and often counterintuitive choices. We have to consistently choose to do the opposite, say no, trust our gut, and remain a student of life day after day. Because those small habits, they accumulate into the massive outcome we call success.
And Cumberland suggests we're all experts in something, even if that expertise is only in our bad habits. You know, the chronic procrastination, the need to win every argument.
So here is a final provocative thought for you to carry forward. If you were to conduct your own 360-degree review right now, asking those closest to you how you'd be remembered, what unhelpful expertise, what bad habits would they report? And what one foundational success habit from this list can you commit to starting today to shift that expertise and build your bridge across the river of life?
Make that first shift and just see where your unique path leads.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.